Hello and welcome back to this little midweek episode of the Mum Boss Method podcast. I am Chrissy and I am the Mum Boss, and what I want to talk to you about today might trigger a few of you, and I'm going to do a sorry not sorry about that because I think this is something that everyone needs to hear. And I'm going to talk to you about victim mentality. Well, that's if I can talk. Victim mentality. Now, what I'm not talking about is being the victim. I'm talking about having a victim mentality. Let me explain a bit more about what I mean here. So, do you ever think, fuck my life? You know, or you text it to your friends or your other half or whatever, you know, FML. Fuck my life. Do you ever look at the cards that you've been dealt and think, why me? Or maybe you find an endless list of reasons or excuses not to do the things. And they're always things that are outside of your control. It's someone else's fault, or you've somehow been wronged. I really want you to think about this. I really want you to be critical and really ask yourself that question. Have I done that? Do I do that regularly? This is someone else's fault, or why me? Fuck my life. Are you playing the victim in your own life story? Now, like I said at the beginning, I'm not talking about being a victim. There's a huge difference between being a victim of something and playing the victim. And I speak about this from a place of experience because I used to play the victim in my life all the time. I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that because someone else had done something to me, or the situation didn't allow it, or the world wasn't fair, and why me, why me, why me? I always believed that I was the only one that bad things ever happened to. And I took everything as a personal attack or a personal insult. And I often blamed what was going on as being just the way I am, or because of my past experiences or history. You know, I couldn't do anything about it. Well, I can't, you know, for example, if I took things personally, well, you know, that's just the way I am. You know, that's just the way my past has made me. I always think everyone's attacking me. But you know what the biggest thing was? I did nothing to improve my life, my circumstances, my situation, or myself. 4 years. I took absolutely no responsibility for changing anything. Because the way I saw it is, it wasn't my fault that any of this happened. It's not my fault that I am where I am. So why should I do anything about it? And I'd look at other people's lives and I'd think, lucky bitch, why does she have to have that life? Why does she get to have all of that? Why does she get to have the perfect figure and 2.4 children and a nice car and a great house and a great job and a boyfriend or a husband that, you know, is... Obviously, I'm talking about when I was single here because I have a great husband and I have a wonderful son. But you know, I just used to look at everyone else's lives and think it's not fair. Why not me? And you know what I even did, and this is really embarrassing, but I tried to one-up everyone else's negative experiences. Someone would tell me something that was going on in their life and I always had to try and outdo them. Oh, well, you think that's bad? Listen to what happened to me. And now that I see how I used to behave all the time, I recognise it more in other people. I see it when it's happening, when in other people, you know, oh, well, you know, you think that's bad. This is what's going on in my life at the moment. And this attitude, this position left me stuck in a place where I was miserable and unhappy and unhealthy, and I did nothing about it for such a long time. because there was always a reason and an excuse outside of my control that meant I didn't have to take an action, or I believed I couldn't take an action. I didn't need to take an action because it wasn't my fault, so I couldn't change anything. Now, looking back on that now and listening to the beliefs and the thoughts that I used to hold makes me cringe. It's awful. I hate that I lived in that space for such a long time. I would say I lived in that space for about 20 years, maybe longer. Now, I found myself doing this the other day, and that's why I wanted to share this with you. I felt quite stressed about various things, and the things that were going through my head were, the house is a mess and it's not my fault because it's everyone else's mess. I tidy up, but it's everyone else's mess. There's washing everywhere and that's everyone else's fault for wearing their clothes, because I put the washing on most of the time. And I'm too busy with work and with doing the washing and tidying up the house and cooking the dinner and all of this stuff to get to the gym and get my workout done, which I know actually is something that is going to help me feel less stressed. I always feel so much better when I walk out of the gym, even if it's not a great workout. And I was ranting about all of this, about this woe is me, look at everything I have to do, to whoever would listen. And at no point when I was ranting did I accept any of the responsibility for myself. Instead, I blamed the size of our house for the fact that it felt cluttered. I blamed the fact that no one else, and let's be clear, when I say no one else, I mean Tom and Charlie, my husband and my son. I blame the fact that none of them see the mess, that they expect me to do everything, that no one else respects my time, and no one understands my need to get to the gym and get my workouts in. And I realised that I'd been sitting in that space for about 2 weeks, probably since, the beginning of January, really. I'd been sitting in that space for 2 or 3 weeks and getting more and more stressed and more pissed off. Like my office that I work in, let's be clear, I run my own business. I come and do a bit of work every day. So even on a Saturday and Sunday, I very rarely is there not one thing that I have to do. I'm not saying I sit here for hours and hours and hours, because that's not healthy either. But there's always something I need to do or check in on, right? So I come into this office 7 days a week. And even if I don't have a lot of work to do on a Saturday or Sunday, I always start my day here with my journal and my cuppa and just a little bit of meditation. And I was walking into my office. It's the box room. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, it's the box room in the house, and it felt cluttered. And even my cleaner said to me at some point last year, it's feeling very cluttered in here, Chrissy. And I'd walk in and I'd just think, oh, everyone else using my office as a dumping ground. They weren't. Oh, why have I got to have the smallest room in the house? Well, you could have no room. Oh, look at the mess in here. Oh, no one wants to keep my office tidy. It was all my mess. Just things like that were stressing me out every day, and it was building up and building up and building up. And I was resenting everything. And it was never anyone's fault, like I've already said. What I want to tell you that I did, and I took inspiration from this, I'll be really honest, because I can't take all of the credit, but I took inspiration from this from a Mel Robbins podcast. And I've kind of gone through this process a number of times in the last couple of weeks. I've shared it with my clients and I've kind of tweaked it and made it my own. And let me tell you that if any of this is resonating, I've got 4 steps, 4 things I want you to do that are going to help you. These things you're going to be able to take action on these things and change the way you're thinking. I need a little sip. Okay, so the first thing I did was that I recognised all the little things that were upsetting me and causing me stress and causing me anxiety or making me angry. Okay, and I wrote them all down. From the small things, like the lights on my desk keep falling down, to the big thing, which is I want to move house. Right? Just that thing of wanting to move house. I wrote down, that I didn't believe anyone valued my time. I wrote down that my husband and son expect me to do all the jobs in the house. And I wrote down that I was too busy to drive to the gym. And in the end, I wrote down 17 things on my list. Okay, so that was the first thing I did. I reckon I probably could have written down more, but I set myself a time limit. Then I looked through that list of 17 things and I made a note against the ones that I could actually control. Against the things that I could actually do something about. And do you know, on that list of 17 things, there was only one thing I couldn't control. And that's moving house. It's just not something we can do right now. Wow. Out of 17 things, there's one thing I can't do anything about. Now, I'm not saying out of those 16 things I can do something about, I'm not saying I can completely solve the issues, but there's an action I can take against all of them. So then I thought about how I might be making each of those situations worse, and I've got a couple of examples for you. I very rarely ask my son or my husband for help. I was leaving washing, so washing was one of the things that was driving me mad. I was leaving the washing until it piled up and there was at least a full machine load. And because we don't all wear the same colours every day, that's then going to be at least 3 different loads, whites, darks, mixed. 4 because of gym clothes. So I was leaving it until it piled up at the end of the week. So then I was spending my weekend washing. I noticed that I actually wasn't being organised with my time, or as organised as I could be. I wrote down that I wasn't communicating how I feel to people. And I wrote down that I was choosing to go to the gym on the days and the times that the rows are the busiest. Now, some of this was about challenging my own beliefs and thoughts about each point, such as I don't ask for help because I feel like all the jobs are my jobs. Well, that's my belief. Is it the truth? No. There are certain jobs that I do in the house and my husband does in the house most of the time. He mainly empties the bins. He mainly does the washing up because I do the cooking. But it doesn't mean that all the jobs are definitely my jobs. That's just my belief. It's not the truth. And then what I did was I took responsibility for those things and I decided the actions that I was going to take. So the examples are ask for help more. So if I need help with dinner, if I need help with the dog, if I need help with washing, ask. Plan my weeks and my time better. I realised I was winging this. So I've planned my meals, that's great. But I wasn't planning in the exact times I was going to get my workouts in. I wasn't planning in what piece of work I was doing every day, across my days. I wasn't planning in or thinking about, well, if I'm going here, I need to allow for travel time. What else could I do? Do a wash load a day rather than trying to get it done in 2. Okay, that means the washing machine might only be half full, but actually that's probably better for the washing and it's easier to get it dry. change my gym times. So rather than trying to get to the gym, like leave at 8 o'clock, which on a Tuesday and a Thursday seem to be the most ridiculous times to get out of my village, change it, push it back. Now I leave at 9. Because I work for myself and I can set my own times. Reorganise my office. I don't have a great eye for things. I asked my husband to come in and just help me work out what we could do with my office. So I've reorganised it. I've got more space now. It feels like a more comfortable place to be. Communicate my frustrations and my feelings without blame, without accusation. Now, let me tell you, the last 2 or 3 weeks since I've done this have been the least stressful in this house ever. There's not been no stress, but it's been the least stressful that we've had for years. I've had more time, I've had more space, I've had more energy. There's still things on that list we want to do. We haven't got through all of them, like attacking, everyone's got the shit drawer in the kitchen. Attacking that at time of recording, I hadn't done that yet. And there's also 3 small drawers in the living room that I want to attack as well. Tiny little drawers, but they still need doing. The other day, my son forgot his football kit and my husband left his glasses at home. And both of them messaged me to tell me that. Now, my husband knew I was probably driving his way anyway that day to go and see my friend. But he was like, do you mind bringing my glasses? And then at the same time, my son messaged saying I forgot my football kit. And because I was so chilled, because things felt so much more in control, I said, right, I'll bring your football kit to school and then I'll bring your glasses. I will be there at this time. And I made it fit in with my time. I think it was a Wednesday, so I think I was teaching boot camp in the morning. So, I couldn't get there before boot camp and they just had to wait. So here's what I want you to do. If this sounds like your life, if you feel like you are constantly making excuses, maybe it's, I can't work out, I don't have enough time, I can't work out, there's not enough space, or I can't prep my meals, I can't eat healthily, I just have to grab whatever I can. Here's what I want you to do. I've got 4 actions for you. So number 1, I want you to think about the things that aren't making you happy right now and write them down. What's not working? Get everything down. Set a timer. Be really specific. 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most, and get everything down from the big to the small. It doesn't matter how significant this is. Like I say, one of the things I need, and I'm actually going to keep myself accountable, and I'm going to message my husband because these lights are driving me mad and I can't make them work. I'm going to message him at the end and ask him when he gets home from work, will he help me with my lights? So there's my thing. So this could be your job. It could be your fitness. It could be your health. It could be your friendship groups, your social circle. It could be your weight. It could be your job, your house, your clothes, like anything, whatever it is, the tap in the kitchen, anything. Okay, write them all down. Get it out of your head. When it's taking space up in your head, it's annoying you. It's suffocating your creativity. It's we are always thinking about things, always. We're holding multiple situations in our lives all the time in our heads. Get these things out. The act of writing them, or even if it's typing a list, is so cathartic. Just doing that is amazing. So I want you to write that list. Step number 2, I want you to take a good look at it. I want you to be really, really critical, really, really objective. Pretend this is my list. Pretend this is your best friend's list. And I want you to work out which ones you have even the smallest slice of control over. What can you do about any of these things? I bet you have more control over them than you think you do. So write down all the possible things you can do about each of the points. And if there's nothing you can do, if there's nothing you can change, nothing you control on any of them, then there's a huge part here about accepting that that's the way things are right now. And stop wasting your time and energy on it. Change your mindset around it. Okay, so I've got a couple of examples here. The moving house thing. Why do I want to move house? I want to be closer to my friends. I want to be, as much as I love the village that I live in, I feel like I would love to be more in a town. I want to be closer. Sounds ridiculous. I want to be closer to my gym, although my gym is in a really busy city and I could live the opposite side of that city and it might take me longer to get to the gym, so who knows. But I also want to be in a bigger house. I love our house, it's really great, but the downstairs is really small and it's not very good for socializing. But I can't do anything about that right now, so I have to accept that at the moment we are here for a good few years yet, and I need to make the best of it, which is where a lot of the rest of my list came from. Another example, when I worked in corporate, towards the end of my time in corporate, I really didn't like my job. But at the time, I couldn't leave. It just wasn't an option. So the only thing I could do was to change how I thought about my job. So instead of hating it and going in, dreading each day, waiting for something bad to happen, looking for the negatives in the job, I walked in every day looking for the positives, finding the things to be grateful for in that job. I might not like the job, the things that I had to do, but I got to see my friends, and that was a great thing. Okay, number 3, what beliefs do you want to change? So maybe you believe that you're too old to start on a health and fitness journey, or that dieting doesn't work for you, or that you're too busy. Maybe you believe that you don't have the time to work out. Maybe you believe that you like me, like in my office example, I didn't think there was anything I could do about this office. I just thought I had to just live with it. Actually, there was loads I could do. I didn't believe that I could ask my son and my husband for help. Okay, he's not 13 yet, my son, so there was only limited things he could do, but he definitely could do something. He's got 2 jobs now every day: feed the dog and set the table. So what do you need to change? What are you telling yourself? Think of this as excuses. What excuses are you making for why you can't do these things? And actually those excuses might need to be beliefs that need to be challenged. And then number 4, and this is the most important piece. You can do all this work, but if you don't take responsibility and decide on the actions that you're going to take, this was a waste of time. Because this list of things is just, without action, is just a wish list. It's a pipe dream. It's another thing you're going to put at the bottom of your to-do list, and it's going to gather dust like everything else on your to-do list. So decide on what actions you're going to take. What's the first thing on that list you're going to do? Who do you need help from? And when are you going to do it? Here's how I approached that step, right? It was a Friday afternoon when I did this, and I wrote an email to my husband, and that email took me about 20 minutes to construct. And the reason I did it on an email rather than WhatsApp is so that I could type it and that was quicker and it flowed better for me. And I colour coded it and I bullet pointed it. And I just, at the beginning of the email, I just said, you know, I've just done this exercise where I've written down everything that's frustrating me and making me unhappy at the moment. And there's some things on here that we need to do together. There's some things that I need your help with. There's some things that you need to do. And there's some things that I need to do. And here's what they are. And so now we're in that together. So don't make this, don't just think about it. Do it. Take the action. Set a date for the things you want to do. Put it in your diary. You know, I told my husband about all of that on a Friday, and I was sitting doing a little bit of work on a Sunday afternoon, and he started rearranging stuff in my office while I was working. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, you're not happy with your office. Let's try and make it more spacious for you. Because I'd expressed to him how it made me feel. So he was, you know, we were in it together, and it might not be your other half, or maybe you're single, it might be a friend, it might be a sibling, it might be a parent, or it might be that you need to reach out to someone like me to help you to stay accountable. So set a date for the things you want to action. Tell someone you're going to do it. Get them to help you with accountability, or maybe they need to help you with some of the actions. Message me, I'll hold you accountable. I'll put a note in my diary to send you a message to make sure you've done the thing you've done, you said you were going to do. But remember, you can't control everything in your life, but you can control more than you realise. But the thing is, you have to take action on it. So they're your 4 steps. Write the list. Be critical, look at that list and be really honest with yourself. What have you got control over? What do you need, what do you need to turn around? What do you need to change about that situation? What you believe about that situation? And then number 4 is take responsibility. Stop playing the victim. Take radical responsibility over the things you can change. Because even the smallest little things can make a massive difference. Okay? Bad stuff will sometimes happen. Life is neither good nor bad. It's just life. So, I hope this helps you. Reach out and let me know if you enjoyed this episode, and please share it with anyone that you think needs to hear it. And if you want to reach out to me and find out how we can work together and how I can help you take action on your health, your fitness and your fat loss, then check out the link in the show notes. I'd love to help you. Mwah!